Uh,
Scared.
Skibbity pip pop.
Scared. What are you gonna get boosted up here already? He tried to fucking grenade for He's break their beds. fucking starving. Shut the fuck up, kid.
I have 0 GP. Broke with nothing to my name, dumped in the middle of the rising darkness area of Varlamore. Now with new updates always come new unusual money makers, and I'm not allowed to make money outside of the new content in the rising darkness areas. First thing I've got to do is run around like a peasant and find some way to make money. What is this? They don't even let you pick the grapes as a peasant here. Right, now I have found these very interesting chests upstairs in a house, and if you pick the lock you get 200 thieving XP and some coins. And I have no idea what the drop table of this is like, but that's a pretty good starter GP coming in. Wait, what just happened? I got kicked out! No! Let me
Hello,
back.
hello,
Gold
man.
bar, interesting. So it does drop
Sorry, I
more
wasn't
than just
focused on
GP.
chat right now.
An emerald! What's this chest? Could actually have a decent drop table. A very
me, it's
quickly
me.
obtained full inventory of random loot. Not too bad to start off. And all that comes to
Where are you?
20k. Let me invest in some staminas.
Yeah, we
The
need to
next
repair it.
method
It's
is
80
a
HP.
classic. There's not much to do early game in Alderin, but there are shop money makers. And the best thing to buy from this shop is
I swear I can never have a
cider.
good
The bank
vibe.
is right here next door. And the shop stock is kind of
Aw.
weird. It is infinite, which means this could be the most efficient
Let them
cider
repair
buying
it.
method from now on. Groundbreaking stuff. Last inventory of ciders, and I am all out. 513. That was very,
Can't
very
wait, just
quick.
pick up this barrel
Super
and-
low level money
For
maker.
life.
Obviously, ciders are probably not going to be the best thing in the world, but they should sell for about 250 each. Don't ask me why people buy these shop items, but they do. 111k. Dump the rest and 136k profits off somebody's alcoholism. Beautiful. Grab some house tabs because I've moved to Alderin for my next activity right next to the portal. I'm going to be buying uncuts from Toki's gem store. 3 uncut sapphires, 2 uncut emeralds, and an uncut ruby. Locking in 2.7k per world hop. What is this? Why are all these in here? I keep seeing different amounts. It makes me think, it honestly makes me think that this might be an Iron Man shop, you know? Why would a main sell to the shop? Ruby cost 824. Can I not just buy all these out of the shop? Let me investigate. There aren't a normal amount. Why are there more rubies in the shop than normal? It's a bit suspicious. Let me just go to the PvP world to check out what the actual natural stock is. Here. That looks good to me. 3, 2, 1. And then 3, 2, 2. We might have found a little rabbit hole here to go down. Who's this guy? No, wait. They sell on the main and they buy on the Iron Man. Okay. This explains it. So here the main sells gems to the shop and then the Iron Man's coming back. This guy's banking the gems, but some people must be selling the gems. What the hell's going on here? So I paused my money making mission to find out that you can indeed sell to the shop on your main and buy the uncut gem stock on your Iron Man, which means that you can get insane XP rates doing this efficiently and make money on your Iron Man. 150k an hour is the best I could come up with. I've decided I won't do this on my Iron Man, not because I have morals, but because I'm already 99 crafted, so there's kind of no point. I will, however, take full advantage of the situation for my money making because you can buy rubies from the shop at 100 each and then sell them on the Grand Exchange for 800. Okay, it's over. Back to buying the uncuts, and I'm going to see morals, but because I've already 99 crafted, so there's kind of no point. I will, however, take full advantage of
What's in a PK's bank? Today I'm going to give you unfettered access to my loot tab and show you exactly how much I've PK'd so far in 2024. You see, at the very start of the year, I sold everything in the loot tab, and you guys gave me a challenge, PK max cash. We've just crossed the halfway mark in the year, so how am I doing? Here we go. 2 million Rev Ether, 2.7 bracelets of Ethereum, 300 Avarices, some good emblems including the 16 miller, 4 blowpipes, 13 Webweaver bows, 1 crossbow, 12 Urine chain maces plus 2 Vigora ones, and 15 Slayer helms. By the way, at the end of the vid, I'll give you the grand total. A couple whips, 12 Abbey daggers, 20 crystal shields, 3... So far, I'm at 1.7 bill, exactly 80% of the way to our target, and we're only 6 months into the year. What's in a PK's bank? Today I'm gonna...
There's a monkey here in a tree. And here...
Did you draw this?
It's a tooth fairy.
Hey, do you guys mind if I build next to you? I'm gonna build right here. No, I'm friendly. Dude, I wanna build here. Can I build here? No, can I build here, man? I'm friendly. I'm gonna build here the easy way or the hard way. Which one do you want? Oh my god, man. I'm friendly, bro. Alright, looks like we're gonna build it in the hard way.
The Vincent SMG puppy.
Armoring the fuck out of it. Yo, can I build here? Yo, can I build here? We got TC. They're loaded. Bunch of comps. Fuck tons of comps. Holy shit! Lots of silver! 1 second, let me just get building mats. Okay. I think I'm gonna move in here. Hey, do you guys mind if I build next to you? I'm gonna build right here.
This is gonna make all of you age 50 years. Are you ready for this? So we had a setup that was like this. We had a desk, and it had 2 stations on it. And we had a keyboard for this one, mouse and keyboard, and we had a controller on this one. Not a single kid that came up could use that mouse and keyboard.
Brother.
Some of them, their hands were too small. Some of them never seen a keyboard before in their life. And I was like, oh man, like, we gotta go buy another controller for the next day, like, because it was a 3-day con, you know? So we bought another controller, and we got rid of the keyboard, so we had controller and we had controller, right? Because they're smaller, the kids' hands can work on them. So kids walk up, 50%. Half of the children that came up moved the controller to the side, not knowing what it was, reached out and tried to touch the monitor because they had never played a game outside of on a phone or a tablet and thought it was a touchscreen. The next generation doesn't know what a controller is. This is going to make all of you age 50 years. Are you ready for this?
So without that viewport tag,
every cell phone is just going to lie about how wide it actually is. When the first iPhone came out, there wasn't any app store, but it was one of the first smartphones to have a decent web browser on it. But that screen size was like 320 pixels wide, and websites back in 2007 were hard-coded to work with much bigger widths. So Apple's plan was to trick every website into rendering at desktop size, and then it would just zoom it out on the iPhone screen, which looked better than having these broken web pages. If I make a web page here and I remove that viewport tag, I can add a script in here to just alert what the screen width is. And if we load this up on an iPhone, I can see the iPhone's telling me it's 980 pixels wide, even though if we put this meta tag back in here, we'll get the real width of the iPhone, which is only 375 pixels. So without that viewport tag, every cell phone is just going to lie about how wide it actually is. When the first iPhone came out, there wasn't any app store, but it was one of the first smartphones.
Autoblock is risking 28 billion GP in a no-weight deathmatch, where the first player to go down to 0 HP loses their half of the pot. His enemy is so confident that he says,
"I'll even give you the first hit, a foo 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 foo."
I lost. It's over. Oh, it's fucking over, bro. My fucking RNG gets fucking ass on a fucking huge stake like this, bro. It's so fucking cringe. Every time this happens, bro. Every time I go big, this happens, bro. I never get lucky.
Hell no. But you got no.
Yes! Yes!
Autoblock is risking 28 billion GP in a no-weight deathmatch, where the first player to go down to 0 HP loses their half of the pot. His enemy is so confident that he says,
"I'll even give you the first hit, a foo 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 foo."
I lost. It's over. Oh, it's fucking over, bro.
There is a monkey here in a tree. And here is a hunter.
Who wants to know the secret for YouTube Shorts? It's one of the strangest things you'll ever see. There's a little checkbox, and that checkbox says, if you want to notify your subs of the upload. And you know what you do? You uncheck that box. Why would we do this, chat? Why would we uncheck the box to notify subscribers? Well, the way that the algorithm works on a lot of these platforms is if you have a bunch of subs and it sends it out to those subs and they don't interact with it, it goes, wait a minute, people aren't interacting with this. I won't waste my time with it. Many people who subscribe to you will eventually be dead accounts. They don't log in anymore, they don't look at YouTube, they may not interact with your stuff, etc. If you turn this off, it sends it only to people who aren't subscribed to you yet, which means live active users. So when you make a short, you uncheck that box, and it goes into live feeds only, with real people interacting with it. Who wants to know the secret for YouTube Shorts? It's one of the strangest things.
Hey, do you guys mind if I build next to you? I'm gonna build right here.
This looks like something I would use to charge my phone.
So actually what this is, the reason why I have this little orange thing here is because there is no way I'd ever know that this was not a charger without this orange tag, because it is that perfect. So the NSA is selling these for $20,000. And I have a friend, MG, he goes by, who is selling them for, a couple $100s a piece. And I have a bunch of them I can show you. So this is a charger that will work. I could hand this to you and say, hey, here's my charger, man, or replace yours, right? As soon as this plugs in, inside of this tiny little plastic right here, inside of this is a Wi-Fi chip, a mini computer, and this thing emulates a keyboard and can type at 860 characters per second. It can monitor your keystrokes, so you can put this in line in between your
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you can put this in line in between your keyboard and your computer.
Who uses them?
They're intended for penetration testers like myself to do the right thing.
This looks like something I would use to charge my...
The motherfucker hit me in the head with the ball. I can't let that shit slide. Now I gotta knock this motherfucker out. But the mistake I made was I leaned too far to the left and he went that way. I wanted to throw the left because I wanted him to come inside. I was gonna try to knock that motherfucker's head off to let him know, like, hey, I ain't one of these motherfuckers you can throw the ball at. So by the time I got to the motherfucking tunnel, Uncle Jerome handed me the phone. And I'm like, hello? And it was my mom and Charles' mom on the phone. It's like, y'all shouldn't be doing it. I was like, who's this? She's like, my mom. Check, this is Charles' mom. So when it's moms, even though I'm mad at him, I ain't gonna be like, fuck it's yes ma'am. Y'all stop that shit. I done already talked to Charles. Y'all hug that shit up. And she was not ghetto, but she was hard. She was like, y'all cut that shit out. Y'all don't need to be fighting. So mama dropped that final order. I'm not going to go against my mama ever. So I'm walking down the hall. He walking down the hall. I'm looking at him like, motherfucker, even though my mama said, the motherfucker hit me in the head with the ball.
You know how you know when you're driving the wrong cars? If I ask you what car you drive and you tell me the derivative, not the brand. So if I said, what do you drive? Say I drive a GD86. You don't tell me I drive a Toyota Coupe.
Okay.
Right? Because the person who drives an Aston Martin doesn't go, I drive a DB9 or a Vanquish. You ask, what do I drive? I drive an Aston Martin.
I drive a Bentley.
Do you get it?
Not
I drive
like
a Bentley.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you if it's a Mulsanne or if it's Continental or it's a Bentley. Now, the problem with Toyota was they were making their cars in Japan, exporting them to America. For the American person, it was still a Toyota. It represented reliability and quality, but it didn't quite represent opulence and luxury. And one day they're having a conversation about what are we going to do with this problem? And they thought the problem was about pricing. Out of nowhere, a little voice from the back said, this is not a pricing problem, it's a brand problem. So we should just, rather than change the car, just change the logo on the car. And they go, what do we call it? And the answer was, it's a luxury product. What do? We export it to the US. It's a luxury export to the US.
Lexus.
It's a Lexus. You know how you know when you're driving the wrong cars? If I ask you what car you drive and you tell me the derivative, not the brand. So if I said, what do you drive? Say I drive a GD86. You don't tell me I drive a Toyota Coupe.
Chef, jack a potato, chili con carne. Sure, why not? I'm adding some oil, salt, and chili powder. Just massage this, prick this with fork. Just wrap it. It's time to put this in the Gooo. So till the time our potatoes are cooked, I'm making con carne, chopped onion. No need to cook much. Same time I'm adding my love garlic. This is smoked paprika, red chili powder, marjoram powder, sweet paprika, cumin powder, little salt. Lamb mince. Mince is slightly cooked, chopped red peppers, chopped in tomatoes. So this time I'm adding red kidney beans. I'm adding dark chocolate. It's in the authentic recipe of this. You can use sugar also if you don't like chocolates, but nobody in the world who don't like chocolate. Now it's over 30 minutes. Our potatoes are done. So our potato is crisp. Wow. Now it's time to add butter, cheese, con carne, little sour cream, black pepper, chili flakes. Chili con carne on jacket potato. Chef, jack a potato with chili con carne. Sure, why?
But how would you make a function lazy loadable? Have you ever thought about it? What do you need to do to make something lazy loadable? Let's have a look at a simple example, right? We have this very simple function. There's a little iffy in it, if anybody remembers what an iffy is. And we have a constant there. We have the function that closes over the scope of x. And if we want to make it lazy loadable, this is what we have to do. Also, you can imagine this being a hook or a use effect or something like that, right? What do we have to do? We have to name it and call it, right? Extract the inner function. Then we need to move it out of the top function, right? But then we're missing the variable, right? Where's x? Then we need to pass in a parameter, right? And at this point, we pass the parameter, like you mentioned. We got to move it into a different file. And then we need to lazily import it. But how would you make a function lazy loadable?
All right, so the reason I don't like Mr. Robot. This right here is my write-up for the DEF CON 22 badge challenge. Went viral as hell inside of the hacking community. And it was because I listed out everything that we did as a team and showed the world the brilliance of Lost, who is the creator of these challenges. And the first thing you can see here is a number letter cipher. So 1 would be A, 2 would be B, so on and so forth. And you can see at the end of this, these last pieces of 1057, 1057, Lost's name is 1057. He goes by Lost, and 1057 is his handle. That is his signature at the end of this. And now let's go to Mr. Robot's Twitter. Understand that this was the only place in the world that this was listed. Mr. Robot reposted this right here. That's that same string, but what did they leave off the end? His signature. This is the same as taking an artist and removing their signature from their piece of art. They made it public to millions of Mr. Robot fans, and those people went and found all of the breadcrumbs that led after this, which led to Lost's personal phone number. He got tens of thousands of calls from fans of Mr. Robot thinking Mr. Robot was running an ARG, and I stopped watching the show as a result. And they never took it down. Absolute dog.
How are you?
I'm sorry.
How are you doing?
I'm 2.5 years sober.
Winning?
2.5
2.5 what?
years sober.
Say that louder.
I'm 2.5 years sober.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
I've been so excited to see you today.
I don't get that
Many
much.
people
So,
don't say
okay.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing really good. I live in sober living. And I live in a program where I get to have my son there. I have him back after 6 years.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, full-time mom again, which is a trip, but it's cool. It's good. Sponsor 3 women. I've been through the steps a couple times.
Tell you what, Alexandra, man, you earned it. You earned it. I mean, you're here, you're breathing, you're living life, you're happy, you're smiling. And I don't want your money. Got what I wanted.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm sorry.
How are you doing?
I'm 2.5 years sober.
One of the most legendary softwares to ever exist was Winamp. Winamp was released in 1997 and then was actually sold to AOL for $80 million in 1999. And to this day, it still is a software that you can use. But what made Winamp so...
If you buy a Ferrari, they'll deliver it for... How long will it take me to lose the muscles that I've gained if I don't go back to the gym? Within a...
Today we're gonna find out who can squeeze harder, me or a lobster. Now I'm gonna make you a deal. If you can squeeze harder than I can, I'll give you a notch, a snack, and I'll let you go. But if I squeeze harder than you, then you're dinner. All right, we got a deal. Oh, I'm gonna go first. 162. We're gonna see how the lobster compares. Probably gonna break the thing. This is it. Your life is quite literally on the line here. 52. That's actually pretty good. All right, she's dinner. I'm just joking, I'm joking. We'll give her a snack, we're gonna let her go. She's got a V-notch anyway, so we can't keep her. She's still in the process of dropping her eggs. She's almost got all of them dropped. So we're gonna give her a snack, setting her on her way. There she goes. She's trying to swim with it. Well, after she eats that, she'll probably have a lot more strength for round 2. Today we're gonna find out who can squeeze harder.
How does Python work under the hood? After you write your code and run your script, it is then handed to the Python interpreter. Here's how the interpreter does its magic. First, the interpreter decodes and tokenizes your code based on rules defined so it's clear what everything does. It then parses this by organizing it in a tree-like structure and optimizes even further. The interpreter then takes the compiler and reads your script. It then translates it into what's called bytecode. And this specific bytecode, unlike C, can't be executed by your machine, but instead is meant to be read by the Python virtual machine. The Python virtual machine then runs your code line by line, managing your memory and telling the processor what to run and store. Once the program is executed, it releases the memory and ends the process. For such a simple language, it can get really complicated.
How to trick anybody into believing you're a jazz piano expert. Left hand is so easy, all you're gonna do is play this. And repeat over and over. For your right hand, you can play any of these notes in any order and it's always gonna sound good. But we're not done yet, because to make it sound even more bluesy, we're gonna add in the blue note, which is E flat right here. How to trick anybody into...
The one thing, like people talk about depression all the time, the difference between depression and sadness is just, you know, from happenstance, whatever happened or didn't happen for you. And depression is your body saying, fuck you, I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to hold up this avatar that you've created in the world. It's too much for me. So a friend of mine who's a spiritual teacher has a really good take. His name is Jeff Foster, and his take on it is that they should change, you know, you should think of the word of depressed as deep rest. Deep rest. Your body needs to be depressed. It needs deep rest from the character that you've been trying to play. The one thing, like people talk about depression all the time, the difference between depression...
As a condition of your bond, you're not allowed to smoke any weed whatsoever for any reason. No CBD, no gummies, nothing that has THC in it. And if I find that you do, likewise, I will put you in jail. Do you understand? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You're not in a good space though. You're not in a good place. What you do now will affect you for the next 40 years. 17, you think you rule the world, you own it? Please. This life is absolutely miserable if you have no money. And you, the more convictions you get, your income goes like this. The more convictions you get, your income goes like this. It's a adverse and it's a complete, there is a relationship with both. Every single person in there with convictions, you think they have any money? Hell no. That's why they're stuck like Chuck in there, and they'll perpetually be in there, in and out, in and out, in and out. We have enough black and brown people in custody as it is now. We don't need more. As a condition of your bond, you're not allowed to smoke.
Do you know that it's possible to hack an Android phone using Bluetooth? I'm going to use this Raspberry Pi 5.
So if you look at this, let's go in here. We're going to say that I've streamed for about 8 hours right now. We're going to say that we have 9,000 viewers right now. We're going to put the average at about 8,000. If every one of you is watching at 1080p and you have been the whole time, it costs Twitch $4,360 to run this stream. That's how that works. That is why Twitch is losing money. This is the reason. You do that for every streamer on the platform. Now you remember, if we're at 720p, it's $2,000. If it's 480p, it's $1,100. Per year? No, per this stream. That's this stream, not per month. This singular stream at 8 hours of streaming. So if you look at this, let's go in here. We're going to say that I've streamed for about 8 hours right now. We're going to say that we have 9,000 viewers right now. We're going to put the average at about 8,000. If every one of you is watching at 1080p and you have been the whole time, it costs Twitch $4,360 to run this stream. That's how that works. That is why Twitch is losing money. This is the reason. You do that for every streamer on the platform. Now you remember, if we're at 720p, it's $2,000. If it's 480p, it's $1,100. Per year? No, per this stream.
Why do some people say that you don't need a Google Drive, OneDrive, or Dropbox if you have one of these? Perhaps because you can buy your own drives and create your own Google Drive. And this is my new toy from a company called Synology. It's got 5 bays and I've got those filled with 5 12 terabyte hard drives for a total usable space of, are you ready? 43.6 terabytes. I had files using this USB in the front and also the USB in the back, but the real magic happens with these Ethernet ports. You can plug these into your home router and have access to all of your files from anywhere in the world, including your home network. If one of these 5 drives fails, You can just pull the failed one out and it'll use the information on the remaining drives to restore the information. And here's a bonus for those of you who watched until the end. It's called the Synology DS1522 Plus, and you can buy one of these network cards to increase your network bandwidth to 10 gigabits per second. Why do some people say that you don't need a Google Drive, OneDrive, or Dropbox if you have one of these? Perhaps because you can buy your own drives and create your own Google Drive. And this is my new toy from a company called Synology. It's got 5 bays, and I've got those filled with 5 12 terabyte hard drives for a total usable space of, are you ready? 43.6 terabytes. I add files using this USB in the front and also the USB in the back, but the real magic happens with these Ethernet ports. You can plug these into your home router and have access to all of your files from anywhere in the world, including your home network. If one of these 5 drives fails, you can just pull the failed one out and it'll use the information on the remaining drives to restore the information. And here's a bonus for those of you who watched until the end. It's called the Synology DS1522 Plus, and you can buy one of these network cards to increase your network bandwidth to 10 gigabits per second. Why do some people say that you don't need a Google Drive, OneDrive, or Dropbox if you have one of these? Perhaps because you can buy your own drives and create your own Google Drive. And this is my new toy from a company called Synology. It's got 5 bays, and I've got those filled with 5 12 terabyte hard drives for a total usable space of, are you ready? 43.6 terabytes. I add files using this USB in the front and also the USB in the back, but the real magic happens with these Ethernet ports. You can plug these into your home router and have access to all of your files from anywhere in the world, including your home network. If one of these 5 drives fails, you can just pull the failed one out and it'll use the information on the remaining drives to restore the information. And here's a bonus for those of you who watched until the end. It's called the Synology DS1522 Plus, and you can buy one of these network cards to increase your network bandwidth to 10 gigabits per second. Why do some people say that you don't need a Google Drive, OneDrive, or Dropbox if you have one of these? Perhaps because you can buy your own drives and create your own Google Drive. And this is my new toy from a company called Synology. It's got 5 bays, and I've got those filled with 5 12 terabyte hard drives for a total usable space of, are you ready? 43.6 terabytes. I add files using this USB in the front and also the USB in the back, but the real magic happens with these Ethernet ports. You can plug these into your home router and have access to all of your files from anywhere in the world, including your home network. If one of these 5 drives fails, you can just pull the failed one out and it'll use the information on the remaining drives to restore the information. And here's a bonus for those of you who watched until the end. It's called the Synology DS1522 Plus, and you can buy one of these network cards to increase your network bandwidth to 10 gigabits per second. Why do some people say that you don't need a Google Drive, OneDrive, or Dropbox if you have one of these? Perhaps because you can buy your own drives and create your own Google Drive. And this is my new toy from a company called Synology. It's got 5 bays, and I've got those filled with 5 12 terabyte hard drives for a total usable space of, are you ready? 43.6 terabytes. I add files using this USB in the front and also the USB in the back, but the real magic happens with these Ethernet ports. You can plug these into your home router and have access to all of your files from anywhere in the world, including your home network. If one of these 5 drives fails, you can just pull the failed one out and it'll use the information on the remaining drives to restore the information. And here's a bonus for those of you who watched until the end. It's called the Synology DS1522 Plus, and you can buy one of these network cards to increase your network bandwidth to 10 gigabits per second. Why do some people say that you don't need a Google Drive, OneDrive, or Dropbox if you have one of these? Perhaps because you can buy your own drives and create your own Google Drive. And this is my new toy from a company called Synology. It's got 5 bays, and I've got those filled with 5 12 terabyte hard drives for a total usable space of, are you ready?
This stuff right here is freaking awesome. So it's Microman skin closure. So we've got our...
So this is how billionaires in Toronto fight. You guys know the Irish Embassy pub? Well, there's a proposal to put 60 stories on top, over 250 condo units. But as I looked at the proposal more and more, I was like, this thing is really skinny. This is a really small piece of land. Is this even possible? So I sent the proposal over to a friend of mine who is a developer. He took one look at it and said, no one's gonna build this. And then I remembered there's another proposal right next door. And that proposal is 55 Yonge. So here is Yonge and here is well Wellington here. If we pivot a little bit this way, you can see this site here. So this is 55 Yonge, which is a stunning proposal with an amazing facade. We've got 55 Yonge next door, and this proposed tower on Irish Embassy would totally destroy the southern exposure of that building. So essentially what's happening here is Smart Centers is just trying to prove that you can build here, and we plan to build here, and look, it's a feasible, viable tower, so that H&R REIT will have to pay them off, essentially give them a bribe. It's called a limiting distance agreement that would stop them from building. So this is how billionaires in Toronto...
So a plane that is not accelerating is a neutral force balance. You have the force of gravity, you have the lift force of the wings, then you've got the force of the whatever thrusting device, so the propeller or turbine or whatever it is, and you've got the resistance force of the air. Now the higher you go, the lower the air resistance is. Air density drops exponentially, but drag increases with the square. An exponential beats a square. The higher you go, the faster you will go for the same amount of energy. And at a certain altitude, you can go supersonic with less energy per mile, quite a lot less energy per mile than an aircraft at 35,000 feet, because it's just a force balance.
I'm too stupid for this conversation.
So a plane that is not accelerating is a neutral force balance. You have the force of gravity, you have the lift force of the wings, then you've got the force of the whatever thrusting device, so the propeller or turbine or whatever it is, and you've got the resistance force of the air. Now the higher you go, the lower the air resistance is. Air density drops exponentially, but drag increases with the square. An exponential beats a square. The higher you go, the faster you will go for the same amount of energy. And
like an airplane. Because you have air in an airplane, it's not getting new air in.
it is.
It is?
Yes.
They have like a little hole?
Yeah, they have a pump.
Really?
Yeah.
So it gets it from the outside?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And it's like airplanes have it easy because essentially they're pretty leaky, but
Jesus.
But so long as the air pump is working at a decent speed, they have backup pumps.
Oh.
So they have 3 pumps or 4 pumps or something, and then it exhausts through the outflow valve, and through whatever seals are not sealing quite right. Usually the door doesn't seal quite right on a plane, so there's a bit of leakage around the door, but the pumps exceed the outflow rate, and then that sets the pressure in the cabin.
Now, have you ever looked at
How it works.
planes and gone, I could fix this? I just don't have the time. Too busy
I
making.
have a design for a plane.
You do?
Yes.
A better design?
I mean, probably. I think it is. Yes.
Who have you talked to about this?
And I've talked to friends.
Friends?
Friends and.
I'm your friend.
Girlfriends and.
You can tell me. What do you got? What's going on?
Well, I mean, the exciting thing to do would be some sort of electric vertical takeoff and landing supersonic jet of some kind.
Vertical takeoff and landing, meaning no need for a runway. Just shoot up straight in the air and then. Ooh. How would you do that? I mean, they do that on some military aircrafts, correct?
Yes. The trick is that you have to transition to level flight, and then the thing that you would use for vertical takeoff and landing is not suitable for high-speed flight.
So you have 2 different systems. Vertical
I've thought about
takeoff
this
and
quite a
landing
lot.
system?
I've thought about this
Okay.
quite a lot. The interesting thing about an electric plane is that you want to go as high as possible, but you need a certain energy density in the battery pack, because you have to overcome gravitational potential energy. Once you've overcome gravitational potential energy and you're at a high altitude, the energy you use in cruise is very low, and then you can recapture a large part of the gravitational potential energy on the way down. So you really don't need any kind of reserve fuel, if you will, because you have the the energy of height, gravitational potential energy. This is a lot of energy. So once you can get high, the way to think about a plane is it's a force balance. So the force balance. So a plane that is not accelerating is a neutral force balance. You have the force of gravity, you have the lift force of the wings, then you've got the force of the whatever thrusting device, so the propeller or turbine or whatever it is, that the air resistance is. Square. An exponential beats a square. The higher you go, the faster you will go for the same amount of energy. And at a certain altitude, you can go supersonic with less energy per mile, quite a lot less energy per mile than an aircraft at 35,000 feet.
I'm too stupid for this conversation. You think about this.
Makes sense, though.
No, I'm sure it does. Now, when you think about this new idea of designing, I mean, when you have this idea about improving planes, are you going to bring this to somebody? Or you just chuck this around?
Well, I have a lot on my plate.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how you do what you do now, but if you keep coming up with these, but it's got to be hard to pawn these off on someone else either. Hey, go do a good job with this vertical takeoff and landing system that I want to implement to regular planes. My question is, like, I know how much time you must be spending on your Tesla factory. I know under
this magnet. Humans that connect to it are one giant cybernetic collective. This is also true of Facebook and Twitter. They're giant cybernetic collectives.
Humans and electronics all interfacing and constantly connected.
Yes.
Years is that one of the things that drives a lot of people crazy is how many people are obsessed with materialism and getting the latest, greatest thing. And I wonder how much of that is, well, a lot of it is most certainly fueling technology and innovation. And it almost seems like it's built into us. It's like what we like and what we want, that we're fueling this thing that's constantly around us all the time. And it doesn't seem possible that people are going to pump the brakes. It doesn't seem possible at this stage when we're constantly expecting the newest cell phone, the latest Tesla update, the newest MacBook Pro. Everything has to be newer and better. And that's going to lead to some incredible point. And it seems like it's built into us. It almost seems like it's an instinct that we're working towards this, that we like it. That our job, just like the ants build the anthill, our job is to somehow or another fuel this.
Yes. I mean, when I made those comments some years ago, but it feels like we are the biological bootloader for AI, effectively. We are building it. And then we're building progressively greater intelligence. And the percentage of intelligence that is not human is increasing. And eventually, we will represent a very small percentage of intelligence. But the AI is informed, strangely, by the human limbic system. It is, in large part, our id writ large.
How so?
Well, you mentioned all those things, the sort of primal drives. There's all the things that we like and hate and fear. They're all there on the internet. They're a projection of our limbic system. It's true.
No, it makes sense. And the thinking of it as think of it as some sort of an organism that's in biology.
Yeah. These online systems is sort of a function of how much limbic resonance they're able to achieve with people.
Whereas, like,
the more engagement.
Whereas, like, one of the reasons why probably Instagram is more enticing than Twitter.
Limbic resonance.
Yeah, you get more images, more video,
Yes.
tweaking your system more.
Yes.
Do you worry about or wonder, in fact, about what the next step is? I mean, a lot of people didn't see Twitter coming, that, you know, communicate with 140 characters or 280 now would be a thing that people would be interested in. Like, it's going to excel, it's going to become more connected to us, right?
With our input, output is slow, particularly output. Output got worse with thumbs. You know, we used to have input with 10 fingers, now we have thumbs. But images are also they're a way of communicating at high bandwidth. You take pictures and you send pictures to people. That communicates far more information than you can communicate with your thumbs.
So what happened with you where you decided, or you took on a more fatalistic attitude?
I try to convince people to slow down AI, to regulate AI. This was futile. I tried for years.
This seems
Nobody
like a scene
listened.
in a movie
Nobody
where
listened.
the robots are going to fucking take over and you're freaking me out. Nobody listened.
Nobody listened.
No one. Are people more inclined to listen today? It seems like an issue that's brought up more often over the last few years than it was maybe 5-10 years ago. It seemed like science fiction.
Maybe they will. So far, they haven't. I think people don't like normally the way that regulations work is very slow. It's very slow indeed. So usually there'll be some new technology. It will cause damage or death. There will be an outcry. There will be an investigation. Years will pass. There will be some sort of insight committee. There will be rulemaking. Then there will be oversight, eventually regulations. This all takes many years. This is the normal course of things. If you look at, say, automotive regulations, how long did it take for seatbelts to be implemented, to be required? You know, the auto industry fought seatbelts, I think, for more than a decade. Successfully fought any regulations on seatbelts, even though the numbers were extremely obvious. If you had a seatbelt on, you would be far less likely to die or be seriously injured. It was unequivocal. And the industry fought this for years successfully. Eventually, after many, many people died, regulators insisted on seatbelts. This time frame is not relevant to AI. You can't take 10 years from the point at which it's dangerous. It's too late.
And you feel like this is decades away or years away from being too late? If you have this fatalistic attitude and you feel like it's going, we're in almost like a doomsday countdown.
It's not necessarily a doomsday countdown. It's a
out of control countdown.
Out of control, yeah. People call it the singularity, and that's probably a good way to think about it. It's a singularity. It's hard to predict, like a black hole, what happens past the event horizon.
Right. So once it's implemented, it's very different because it will
once
be
the
able
genie's
to
out of the bottle, what's going to happen?
And it will be able to improve itself.
Yes.
That's where it gets spooky, right? The idea that it can do thousands of years of innovation, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And then we'll be just ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
We will be like this ridiculous biological shitting, pissing thing trying to stop the gods. No, stop. We like living with a finite lifespan and watching, Norman Rockwell paintings.
It could be terrible, and it could be great. It's not clear.
Right.
But one thing is for sure, we will not control it.
Do you think that it's likely that we will merge somehow or another with this sort of technology and it'll augment what we are now? Or do you think it will replace us?
Well, that's the scenario. The merge scenario with AI is the one that seems like probably the best. Like
for us.
Yes. Like if you can't beat it, join it. That's
yeah.
You know, so from a long-term existential standpoint, that's like the purpose of Neuralink, is to create a high bandwidth interface to the brain such that we can be symbiotic with AI. Because we have a bandwidth problem. You just can't communicate through your fingers, it's too slow.
And where's Neuralink at right now?
I think we'll have something interesting to announce in a few months. That's at least an order of magnitude better than anything else. Probably, I think better than probably anyone thinks is possible.
How much can you talk about that right now?
I don't want to jump the gun on that.
But what's like the ultimate, what's the idea behind it? Like, what are you trying to accomplish with it? Like, what would you like, best case scenario?
I think best case scenario, we effectively merge with AI, where AI serves as a tertiary cognition layer, where we've got the limbic system, kind of the primitive brain essentially. You've got the cortex. So you're currently in a symbiotic relationship. Your cortex and limbic system are in a symbiotic relationship. And generally people like their cortex and they like their limbic system. I haven't met anyone who wants to delete their limbic system or delete their cortex. Everybody seems to like both. And the cortex is mostly in service to the limbic system. People may think that the thinking part of themselves is in charge, but it's mostly their limbic system that's in charge. And the cortex is trying to make the limbic system happy. That's what most of that computing power is oriented towards. How can I make the limbic system happy? That's what it's trying to do. Now, if we can have a third layer, which is the AI extension of yourself, that is also symbiotic. And there's enough bandwidth between the cortex and the AI extension of yourself such that the AI doesn't de facto separate, then that could be a good outcome. That could be quite a positive outcome for the future.
So instead of replacing us, it will radically change our capabilities.
Yes, it will enable anyone who wants to have superhuman cognition. Anyone who wants. This is not a matter of earning power, because your earning power would be vastly greater after you do it. So it's just like anyone who wants can just do it, in theory. That's the theory. And if that's the case, then, and let's say billions of people do it, then the outcome for humanity will be the sum of human will, the sum of billions of people's desire for the future. And
but
that
billions of people with enhanced cognitive ability, radically
Yes.
enhanced.
Yes.
And which would be, but how much different than people today? Like if you had to explain it to a person who didn't really understand what you were saying, like how much different are you talking about? When you say radically improved, like what do you mean? You mean mind reading?
It would be difficult to really appreciate the difference. It's kind of like, how much smarter are you with a phone or computer than without? You're vastly smarter, actually. You can answer any question. If you're connected to the internet, you can answer any question pretty much instantly, any calculation. Your phone's memory is essentially perfect. You can remember flawlessly. Your phone can remember videos, pictures, everything perfectly. Your phone is already an extension of you. You're already a cyborg. Most people don't realize they are already a cyborg. That phone is an extension of yourself. It's just that the data rate, the rate at which, of the communication rate between you and the cybernetic extension of yourself, that is your phone and computer, is slow. It's very slow. And that is like a tiny straw of information flow between your biological self and your digital self. And we need to make that tiny straw like a giant river. huge high bandwidth interface. It's an interface problem, data rate problem. If you solve the data rate problem, then I think we can hang on to human machine symbiosis through the long term. And then people may decide that they want to retain their biological self or not. I think they'll probably choose to retain their biological self.
Versus some sort of Ray Kurzweil scenario where they download themselves into a computer?
You will be essentially snapshotted into a computer at any time. If your biological self dies, you could probably just upload into a new unit. Literally.
Pass that whiskey. We're getting crazy over here. This is getting ridiculous.
Down the rabbit hole.
Grab that sucker. Give me some of that. This is too freaky. See, if I
I've
was
been thinking about this for a long
time,
time, by the way.
I believe you have. If I was talking to one of my... Cheers, by the way.
Cheers. Yeah, this is great whiskey.
Thank you. I wonder where this came from. Who brought this to us?
Trying to remember.
Somebody gave it to us. Old Camp, whoever
It's
it
good.
was. Thanks. It's good. Yeah, it is good. This is just inevitable. Again, going back to your when you decided to have this fatalistic viewpoint. So you tried to warn people. You talked about this pretty extensively. I've read several interviews where you talked about this, and then you just sort of just said, "Okay, it just is. Let's just." And you, in a way, you're by communicating the potential fear. I mean, for sure, you're getting the warning out to some people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was really going on the warning quite a lot. I was warning everyone I could. You ever met with Obama and just for one reason, like,
Just
watch
talk
out.
about AI.
Yes.
And what did he say? He said, "What about Hillary? Worry about her first." Shh. Everybody be quiet.
No, he listened. He certainly listened. I met with Congress. I was at a meeting of all 50 governors and talked about just AI danger. And I talked to everyone I could. No one seemed to realize where this was going.
Is it that, or do they just assume that someone smarter than them is already taking care of it? Because when people hear about something like AI, it's almost abstract. It's almost like it's so hard to wrap your head around it.
It
By the
is.
time it already happens, it'll be too late.
Yeah, I think they didn't quite understand it, or didn't think it was near term, or not sure what to do about it. When I said, like, an obvious thing to do is to just establish a committee, government committee, to gain insight, before you do oversight, before you do make regulations, you should try to understand what's going on. And then if you have an insight committee, then once they learn what's going on, get up to speed, then they can make maybe some rules or propose some rules. And that would be probably a safer way to go about things.
It seems, I mean, I know that it's probably something that the government's supposed to handle, but it seems like I don't want the government to handle this.
Who do you want to handle
I want
it?
you to handle this.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. I feel like you're the one who could ring the bell better. Because if Mike Pence starts talking about AI, I'm like, shut up, bitch. You don't know anything about AI. Come on, man. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, but I don't have the power to regulate other companies. What am I supposed to?
Right. But maybe companies could agree. Maybe there could be some sort of we have agreements where you're not supposed to dump toxic waste into the ocean. You're not supposed to do certain things that could be terribly damaging, even though they'd be profitable. Maybe this is one of those things. Maybe we should realize that you can't hit the switch on something that's going to be able to think for itself and make up its own mind as to whether or not it wants to survive or not, and whether or not it thinks you're a threat. And whether or not it thinks you're useless. Like, why do I keep this dumb, finite life form alive? Why keep this thing around? It's just stupid. It just keeps polluting everything, it's shitting everywhere it goes, lighting everything on fire and shooting each other.
Come on. Zoe, let's go. Come on. Let's go. Get in here. That's enough. Come, Daddy calls you. Okay, when I call you, come. Hey, stop looking at me. Listen. Ah. When I tell you, you come.
Why would I keep this stupid thing alive? Because sometimes it makes good music, you know. Sometimes it makes great movies. Sometimes it makes beautiful art, and sometimes, sometimes it's cool to hang out with.
Yes, all those reasons.
Yeah, for us, those are great reasons.
Yes.
But for anything objective, standing outside, like, oh, this is definitely a flawed system. This.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
I want to bring it back to the initial question. So you're working for the NSA. When do you realize there's a huge issue, and when do you feel this responsibility to let the American people know about this issue? Like, when do you contact these journalists, and what was the thought process regarding this? Like, Like, what steps did you go through once you realized that this was in violation of the Constitution, and that even with the laws of the Patriot Act and the Patriot Act II? My question is, like, I know how much time you must.
Any regulations on seatbelts, even though the numbers of information flow between your biological self and your digital self. And we need to make that tiny straw like a giant river, a huge, high bandwidth interface. It's an interface problem, data rate problem. If you solve the data rate problem, then I think we can hang on to human-machine symbiosis through the long term. And then people may decide that they want to retain their biological self or not. I think they'll probably choose to retain their biological self.
Versus some sort of Ray Kurzweil scenario where they download themselves into a computer?
You will be essentially snapshotted into a computer at any time. If your biological self dies, you could probably just upload into a new unit. Literally.
Pass that whiskey. We're getting crazy over here. This is getting ridiculous.
Down the rabbit hole.
Grab that sucker. Give me some of that. This is too freaky. See, if I
I've been
was
thinking about this for a long time, by the way.
I believe you have. If I was talking to one of my... Cheers, by the way.
Cheers. Yeah, this is great whiskey.
Thank you. I know where this came from. Who brought this to us?
Trying to remember.
Somebody gave it to us. Old Camp, whoever it was. Thanks. It's good. Yeah, it is good. This is just inevitable. Again, going back to your when you decided to have this fatalistic viewpoint. So you tried to warn people. You talked about this pretty extensively. I've read several interviews where you talked about this, and then you just sort of just said, "Okay, it just is. Let's just." And you, in a way, you're by communicating the potential.
Hey guys, Jafar here, and include their use within scenarios to help per scenario. And watching the show our is together, up in the power and power output to with its excavator scientists, oil rigs during the night light system. Types of battery would completely fill the small battery's available output power, so you can't use it with other devices. If we were to swap it out for a medium battery that has a max output of 50 power, we'll now be able to power an auto turret and other components. Batteries will also keep their charge when picked up. This now means you can take fully charged batteries down into a cave base without needing to use a small generator. So you can charge up your batteries outside using a wind turbine and take it down and swap it out for an existing battery. Each battery panels are outputting 20 power, a battery will only be adding 16 power every minute. Also, to add to this, there is a limit of how much power a battery will accept as input. It appears to be 4 times its max power output capacity. So for a small battery, it can only charge at a maximum of 40 power per minute. So if you were to connect a windmill generating 60 power to a small battery, you would be losing generated power. Last watt minute will only take up to unlock is 40 plus 20 tunnel dwellers have a battery. Look at the battery 70 bandits. The large battery has a capacity of 24,000 rust watt minutes, which is a 2.6 times increase over the medium battery. Context, one large battery could power 10 auto turret power. The tech tree's total, the large battery can be store enough way to one together. We have the war or to in the device such left click on all the color blueprint, the solar panel to enter the ceiling light without needing to unplug the wire to it every. We may want to toggle the ceiling light on or off without needing to unplug the wire to it every time. For this, we'll need a simpler toggle between on or to save your battery input to switch. In this scenario, we'll now want to power multiple ceiling lights. Solar panel light to other users. Now we'll need ceiling lights won't really be. We could just more power panels and displays useful when building in just one cable, which now this can also be used in scenarios where you put the light into the input of the splitter. Just two off in one power. Find the power switch and our batteries. For the fourth scenario, we'll now want the ceiling lights to automatically turn. For this, we'll need an off during the day without us needing to manually use the switch. For this, we'll need a blocker and electrical branch component. The blocker works by preventing the pass-through of power while it receives power through its second input. This means if we have a solar panel generating power during the day, it will prevent the pass-through of power, stopping the lights. Next is the electrical branch. This is similar to the splitter and breaks up the single wire into two separate nodes, which can power each output. The electrical dead of the splitter to split off the main line by a filled with power. Firstly, remove the connection between the root combiner, which combines the power of the wire the branches us will have path. All this wire connect system toggle between the inside lights and out. We would now like to have outside lights that toggle between the inside lights and outside lights. We might want to do this if we have to go out at night and want to be able to easily see our front door to make sure no one is camping it. We will need a pressure plate and a memory cell. Pressure plates output power when they have been triggered by a player standing on them. They first require at least one power within the input node, and in our case will be used to send out power to a memory cell to trigger an event. Now let's have a look at memory cells. When the set node receives power, it will set the memory cell to true, and power will flow through its output node. When the reset node receives power, it will set the memory cell back to false, flowing the power back through its default inverted output node. So if set is triggered, the cell will stay on state true and only return to state false when the reset is triggered. The toggle node essentially combines the set and reset into a single node. So when it first receives the power, it will set the state to true. Then if it loses power and receives power again, it will reset the state back to false. Using the toggle node, power the memory cell and line going can branch well to practice that node. Then outside can into the memory cell and need a way to stop the raiders before they loop through and randomly open a door throughout the night. Opening system, they will continue to loop through and randomly open a door throughout the night. This might make raiders think there is someone inside to help prevent an offline raid. The new items we will need is a random component, door controller, and timer. This system will get a little complicated, so we'll explain each part: input power, the loop, and random output power. The RAN switch works by when the set is making it sound like close the closest door using it. It can be used as an electrical branch before to understand and set the first branch while the really split the package and get above the time. Can manually cause the light to randomly into the working switch splitter so we can equally split the power for the door opening loop. Now place down a splitter so we can equally also add a light above the timer. Now fully cause place now for the loop. We'll need it when it is passed through switch and cause it to be true or false. The branch will also send this power to the blocker, causing the blocker to activate and block power to the switch, even though the switch is still in the turned on position. Since the switch is no longer sending out power, the timer will no longer receive power, as well as the branch. Now the branch isn't sending out power to the blocker's pass-through node, causing power to flow through and power the switch, allowing the timer to turn back on and continue the loop. We can now place down and connect a door controller next controller input. All nodes are receiving and place down node to the one of the nest. You can turn it and add a wind turbine on top of your bank. Just place it there. And when the day night connect an electric branch from the combined now single solar panel's power battery next connect your wind turbine to need it for just a single power into the battery. So now when we play and image out of the days simple enough. Turn the light switches all on light put node from both is connect. Now place down the XOR switch in a suitable location and connect both doorway switches.
Hello guys, and welcome to a new video. In this video I'm going to learn.
There are many ways for you to improve your experience in Rust, whether it's a survival tip, a new snowball strategy, or keep making steer or below. Subscribe to growing Rust site skins, features, and much more. Use draw to leaderboard for a free 50. A lot of people might use it because you need a second workbench to craft ammo, but you can save 500 scrap just by crafting the mixing table on the first workbench. Not only that crafting gunpowder in a mixing table uses 1/3 less charcoal, but you also be able to make 556 ammo in it without a second workbench. The only problem is that the mixing table takes up a lot of space, but I think it's easier to farm a few thousand stones to expand your base than 500 scrap. If you've ever hidden wires inside your base the way I show in the video, you've been doing it wrong. More specifically, you can hide the wires completely. To do this, hold down the shift key and scroll the mouse wheel down. As you can see, the wire is now hidden under the foundation, making it completely invisible. And to bring the wire back to its normal position, hold down the shift key and scroll the mouse wheel up. By the way, instead of holding down the right mouse button to completely clear the connection, you can quickly right-click to go back one action and reconnect the wire as you need. I think you all remember the shooting floor from my solo dream base. Now I'll show you how to make the shooting floor.
Here's what it's going to end up looking like and what it's going to end up doing. Basically everything that I think I can show you. We got so we got the splitter wall, we got all the conveyors, we have loot sorting, we have a crafting chest here, we have outer dump boxes being pulling into inner dump boxes, we got full furnace automation as well as minimal items going out to the furnace, so that way like grubs can't just sit there and take it. I think I already mentioned auto crafting, locker sorting. So that way